You're live, which means that I'm live, which means surprise. I'm live because I'm bored. And let's see what happens if and or when people hop in here. There. Leave that. Where's the thing that I'm looking for? I think there's already people popping in here. Let me make sure this is good. Yep, there's people in here. Hey, Mighty Ryan. Yes, you're first. What's up, Johnny Joestar and SU? Shadow's Edge and Wi Fi. What's up, guys? What's happening? I am live for literally no reason other than I'm actually bored, which doesn't happen. I don't usually have enough free time to just be bored. So I was like, you know what? I kind of wanted to make a video, but or not that I wanted to make a video. I had the energy to make a video, but like I can't think of like any sort of topic. I almost discussed the Silent Hill stuff. I kind of wanted to do that. But I didn't. And I was like, you know what? It's my day off. I was gaming a little bit. I don't need to work out. Had band rehearsal yesterday. I was like, I'm just gonna do like an early morning live stream. Early morning for me. It's 10:40 where I am. I'm on the West Coast. 10:47. So what's up, guys? Hey, Real Gamer 27. What is up, bro? Good to see you, man. Santos Duran is here. Bruno Donners. Drip Media Gaming. Yo. Rip number 24, Real Gamer. Yeah. That's man, what a crazy thing, you guys. It's I talked about it on Twitter a little bit yesterday a couple times. I mean, I'm not really an NBA fan, so I'm not like a Kobe fan. Nothing against the guy. I just never had an opinion because I'm not a basketball fan. I'm a football guy and I'm a hockey guy. But like that whole thing it really hurts, man. It hurt bad. The whole thing. So Hallstar asks thoughts on Drew Locke. I am very excited about Drew Locke. I think that he's just got a lot of energy. He just seems real optimistic. The team is coming around him. It's just really exciting. I hope next year is really solid. I think John Elway said we're for sure going with Drew Locke next year. So, man, people popping in. This is really cool. I should do more random early morning live streams, I guess. Um, let me see. I see a question. 773R says, Rob, have you played any of the Castlevania Lords of Shadow games? As a matter of fact, I've played all three of them. That includes the Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate game on the 3DS, actually. I think the first one is amazing. The second one, man, it looked beautiful. And I thought I liked it for a while, but I actually turned out to kind of hate it in the long run. It was really frustrating. It wasn't bad. It just kind of bothered me. And they made it like more modern because I can't remember the story, but there was some sort of like time jump where you went into like the modern day in like a city, and I don't know, I just didn't really like that. And then Mirror of Fate on the 3DS was good for what it was. It wasn't like a great game, but for being like a Castlevania 3DS game that was like using like 3D art, not the typical sprite art, it was good. But it was awkward. Mighty Ryan asks if I'm going to watch the XFL. I'm curious about the XFL. I mean, I remember when the WWE version of the XFL came out like whatever 20 years ago, and it was like kind of exciting. And I would have been a teenager, I think, so I was probably really excited about it, but it was garbage, man. It was so bad by the time it actually happened. So as far as a new version of the XFL, at least they're taking it seriously and they're trying to make it like a real football game. They're not trying to throw that fake scripted drama from wrestling into it the way the old XFL tried. So yeah, so that's that. What's up, John Odas? How you doing, man? What's up, Soyuraha Gamer? Oh man, I probably butchered your name. You the man, Rob. Thanks, I appreciate it. Kamala the bouncer. What's happening? So yeah, like I don't know. I just like I said, I was bored. I have no actual gaming topics on my mind. The only thing close to a gaming topic I'm like super interested in right now is the whole thing with Silent Hill. I don't know if I can believe that Konami is going to make new Silent Hill games, but I also kind of do believe it. and I don't know why, but there's something about the story about Konami maybe making two Silent Hill games and like the timing of it all that kind of rings true. Like I really have never let go of the idea that Konami would come back and make a Silent Hill game, even though I should have, because Konami is stupid and has been so terrible the past 5 years or whatever it's been. But I don't know. Wi-Fi says think about something for a Nintendo Direct. I mean, and then Bruno says the same things. What slash when do you think of the next Nintendo Direct? I mean, I've been pretty dead set on February being the month ever since the Pokemon Direct was announced. I said it on Twitter too, and everyone was really into this idea that Nintendo was just going to do like a Pokemon Direct and then a Smash Brothers Direct and then a regular Direct, like, week after week after week. And I mean, I say this with Nintendo, nothing is ever impossible, but man, that just didn't make sense. I didn't believe that for a second. And, it's the end of the month now. So obviously they're not doing another January Direct. I think people just got way too optimistic about it. Edward asks, what about March? And yeah, like March could happen too. I feel like Nintendo won't wait that long. It just feels like they're going to want to address earlier in the year. Because, like, the earlier in the year they give us the first direct, the more time they give everyone to know what games they're making and what stuff they're planning to do. So, I mean, March is possible, but I feel like it's February. I definitely do. I hope that they announce I hope that they announce the direct sooner than later because I don't want to spoil anything that I'm not supposed to, but a very cool video will be released that I'm sure most of you guys will know of once it's released, once the Nintendo Direct is announced. And it's a really fun video. And I can't tell, it's not a video on my channel. It's a video on somebody else's channel. And I don't know, I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's really fun. So I just kind of hope that it's announced sooner than later. Because it'll be on a channel that you guys all know about for sure. Um, what's a I'd like to see a Silent Hill collection on the Switch, and gutted about Street Fighter V isn't a thing for the Switch. Yeah, man. Okay. I so want a Silent Hill collection. I love the fact that that they made that Silent Hill HD collection of Silent Hills 2 and 3 for the PS3 and Xbox 360. I would love it if they gave a 1 through 4 like HD port, like if they did HD remasters, they don't have to remake the game. I don't want necessarily that much work going into it, but if they were to just give an HD polish to all four of the original games, oh my god, that'd be great. And yes, I'd love that on the Switch. The Street Fighter thing, man, the Street Fighter 5 thing, I have a couple of opinions on that. I think that here's my conspiracy opinion, because it was EB Games Canada's official Twitter that posted like, "Oh, Street Fighter 5 is coming to the Switch." And then everyone was like, "What the hell's going on?" And it definitely didn't make sense to be announced that way. And then it turned out that like what did they say? They were like, "Oh, sorry, it was actually in reference to the PlayStation 4 version." And I'm like, no, it was not. I think that they absolutely knew what they were doing. I think it was some weird, stupid concept for marketing. Like they were like, wow, we really need more activity on our EB Games Canada Twitter account. Like, who cares about that kind of a Twitter account? And so I firmly believe, not firmly, I kind of believe that thing was just fake. Like somebody was like, "Ooh, let's pretend like we're going to announce the Switch version of a game that will never exist." So everyone starts paying attention to our dumb Twitter account for whatever reason. And then they were like, "Oh, it's actually about the PlayStation 4 version, which has already existed." So, like, why would they have even made that post about the PlayStation 4 version? That game is like 2 or 3 years old. So, I don't know. It was really dumb. I'd like to see Street Fighter 5 on Switch for sure, but it was dumb. Um, oh no, let's see. The DLC is fine. I want to see some new games already on the Switch. They announced Smash back in March, so it's not impossible. Did they announce? Yeah, Smash Ultimate would have been announced, I think, in March. Well, yeah, so they definitely could do a March Nintendo Direct. I'm just predicting a February Direct, but March could happen. So yeah, they have done them in March before. Again, I think 2018, I want to say they did a January mini Direct, and then I think March was the next actual Direct after that. So anything's possible. Um, I am already missing questions here. What's your most anticipated 2020 game, Rob? It's definitely The Last of Us 2, followed very closely by No More Heroes 3. Like those games are neck and neck. But I'm just it's both of those games. It's Last of Us 2 and it's No More Heroes 3 are my most anticipated games. Rob, what would you like a new multiplayer Metroid game like Prime? Oh wait, Rob, would you like a new multiplayer Metroid game like Prime Hunters? Yeah, I would be fine with that. I don't know if that's what I want the next Metroid game to release to be. I don't mind. Here's the thing. For a long time, like, Federation Force is announced and everyone's upset about it. And the reason that game was a problem, even though you guys know I actually like the game, it's a pretty good game. But the reason that game was a problem is because when it was announced in 2015, we hadn't seen or heard from Metroid in 5 years at the time. Nothing from Samus, nothing from Metroid. And we were all waiting and wanting a new Metroid game on the Wii U. And they announced this 3DS spin off multiplayer game. And everyone's like, what? No, we want a real Metroid game. We want Samus. How can you make a Metroid game without Samus? That was our reaction. Nowadays, they've already given us Samus Returns, and we know they're making Metroid Prime 4. Okay? So, because of that, it's like, okay, I don't mind now if you want to do more weird spin-offy things. Like a spin-off thing that I maybe won't care about doesn't bother me because I just played Samus Returns 2 years ago. And I know Metroid Prime 4 is coming. So I know Nintendo is making the kinds of Metroid games we want. So if they want to do something weird like a multiplayer game, like you say, yeah, that's fine to me. I still would like, because we're waiting still for Metroid Prime 4, I would still prefer the next Metroid game that would release to be like an actual Metroid game, like the rumors about like a Metroid Fusion kind of game or like a Super Metroid remake, even something like that. But I will say that, yeah, Prime Hunters, I liked Prime Hunters when it came out. I still have Prime Hunters. And if they wanted to do like a fully featured like Switch console version of a game like that, I would definitely be excited for it if it looked good. So that's my kind of long answer to that. Silent Hill H 1 to 4 Silent Hill HD remaster would be dope on Switch. Yes, it would, Jono. I agree. I want it. Yo, Rob, how's it going, dude? What's your favorite and worst part of Other M? I like that question actually because I'm one of the few Metroid super fans that likes Other M. That's a good question, Nate. Um, my favorite part of Other M, there's actually a couple of things, honestly, you guys. I like the visuals and the I like the kind of overall art direction and the visuals. I like the gameplay. The gameplay is a little too simple, I agree, but overall I still like it because it is like a fun, fast-paced kind of action sort of thing. And I like the attempt at telling a story. I actually think the big swings the story takes are really good. Obviously, the execution and some of the stuff they did with Samus, I don't love. I mean, I can admit it. There's things that some choices I didn't love, but I still like the attempt, and I like what's the word I'm looking for? Not the motivation. There's a word I'm trying to look for. I'll just say that their heart was in the right place with the story, and I like the fact that they tried to tell like a larger narrative. I thought that was pretty cool. The worst part to me is the fact that going back to the simplicity of the gameplay, I feel like the lack of true puzzle solving and backtracking. I mean, there is backtracking in the game, but it's not executed the same way it is in all of the 2D games and in the Prime games. So I felt like the simplicity of even like the environment that you're navigating, which is all on the bottle ship, I feel like that was a missed opportunity. And then of course, some of the forced stuff with Samus didn't feel right. Yeah, people really hated the whole scene where she fights Ridley, and initially she's like terrified of Ridley because she goes through PTSD of when she was a child and Ridley's attacks and her parents dying. And she almost loses to Ridley before she finally like regains her confidence, and then she becomes a badass. And that's where she becomes the badass that we know, and throughout the rest of the game she's like the tough Samus that we like again. And people really hated that she reacted in fear to Ridley at first. And while I don't hate it to the degree people do, and I don't even think it breaks her character, I didn't love it either. I do think I struggled with that for a while after I first played it. Like it felt very strange to have her be like, "Oh no, it's Ridley, I'm afraid," and it's like, come on, man, Samus wouldn't be afraid of Ridley. Should be like, let's kick some ass, bro. That's what Samus would be like. But it's not as bad as people say. But I didn't love it. So yeah. Anyway, that's Metroid Other M. Really good question. I could probably make a video about that actually. Okay, let me find some questions I'm missing here because they are coming in. Um, Hey Rob, how's your day been? Pretty good, Dassin. I'll believe it when I see. That's you guys are talking about something else. Other M is a flawed masterpiece, and a remake is needed badly. Yeah, I've long said a remake, maybe not a remake, but like a solid remaster and some tightening up of some of the issues of Other M would be a good thing. I would like to see them do that on the Nintendo Switch. Code to a remake or remaster hype. Yes, I am so all about that. Clocked it. Hey, yeah, clocked it. What's up, buddy? How you doing, man? Is it cold in your room? Why is your top zipper zipped up all the way? Show some chest hair. All drummer should have. Man, there's a lot to unpack in that, man. I mean, yeah, it's kind. I mean, it's chilly. It's chilly out here. I live in the Pacific Northwest of the states, and it's a rainy, gray, chilly day. So in the winter, I'm sporting a hoodie most times. I need a new hoodie, like a Metallica hoodie or something. But this was a gift from my girlfriend. So Novus Talks, what's up, man? Good to see you too, buddy. Thanks for joining. Icaro Amarim says I've never played Metroid Prime. Can't wait to play it on Switch. It's awesome. It's very awesome. Travis for Smash. Yes, Travis for Smash. Absolutely. I think it's going to happen, you guys. I would put money that Travis Touchdown is absolutely coming to Smash Brothers. Like, it just makes too much sense to not happen. I just saw Wizard Ninja says, which do you want more, Prime 4 or Metroid 5? Oh, I hate that question. I hate that question. I mean, for one thing, Prime 4 is a game we know exists. Metroid 5 is, I think, will eventually exist, but it doesn't exist yet. It's not confirmed. No one really knows. But I mean, Metroid Prime is my favorite game of all time. So Prime 4 is really exciting. But I've also long said that I think 2D Metroid is the best way to play Metroid. Even though I know those ideas kind of conflict with each other. I love a Metroid 5. I don't know. I refuse to answer. I think I'm going to cheat and just refuse to answer. I want them both. I absolutely just want them both. Clocktick, he's just playing, man. Nice to catch you live here in the UK. Yeah, in the UK. Yeah, man. What time is it clocked it where you are? I'm curious. I don't know what the time difference is. It's like 14 hours or something in the UK. Where I am, it's 11 a.m. It's 11 in the morning right now. So I'm curious what time it is for you. Joe R says, new subscriber, love the channel, bro. Dude, thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate you. Appreciate you tuning in. Have you heard that Nintendo recently reapplied for trademark for Golden Sun? I have not heard that, but that is pretty cool. I played the first Golden Sun, and I'm not the big RPG guy. You guys probably know. Jono says 7 p.m. UK time. Okay, so you guys are in, and then it's 8 p.m. in Germany. Says Niffle 101. Okay, gotcha. Oh yeah, so you guys, that's like about what 13 hours. So I was close with the 14. It looks like between like 12 and 14 hours ahead. 4 p.m. in Brazil. Man, the world is a crazy place, man. Time zones are whack, but that's pretty cool. I was answering a question about something. Oh, the Golden Sun thing. Yeah, I think it'd be cool if we got a new Golden Sun game. I would be totally okay with that. Oh man, Metroid Prime 4 or Super Metroid remake? Asks Greek Hillian. It's absolutely Metroid Prime 4 for me. Mostly because it's a new game. Like Super Metroid is a masterpiece, and a remake that they put a lot of time into would be freaking awesome for sure. But it would still be a remake of a game that already exists. Whereas Metroid Prime 4 would be a new game. It's an actual sequel, so I have to go with that. But I would not complain about Super Metroid remake, not at all. Jono says, I'd love to see Travis touchdown in Mortal Kombat 11. That would be amazing. Actually, that would be kind of interesting. I would kind of like to see that happen. I don't know how they would do that. I mean, I guess Travis touchdown isn't actually, he's not exclusive to Nintendo because the first game was remastered on PS3. And I think, am I crazy? Did Travis Strikes Again get released on other consoles? I have to look that up, you guys. And I'm using my phone. That's either the craziest thing I've ever said or I'm right. I feel like that game got like a year late. Yeah, Travis Strikes Again. Right? Somebody correct me. I hate to leave dead air, but yeah. Okay, it came to PS4 and PC, so I was right. It did come to something else. And then yeah, Karim says the same thing here. So okay, so yeah, it'd be cool to see Travis touchdown in Mortal Kombat 11. Then I think that would be neat. Although it would be awesome if he was like exclusive to the Switch version, right? The way Soul Calibur 2 came out way back in the day, and also had like exclusive characters for each fighter. Yo, Rob, love your channel. We love you here in the UK. Thanks, Marky Mark. I appreciate you. I appreciate the UK audience. That's really cool. Other M2, let's go. Yes. You know what, though? Here's the thing about Other M2. I don't necessarily think that they would make a game called Other M2, but I could sort of see a situation where Nintendo would maybe make a Metroid game and still like use that formula. I don't think that the formula of Metroid of Other M is so terrible that they would not go back to it, but like try to fix it or like do it better. I just think that I don't know. There's a lot of good to what they were trying to do with Other M, like from a gameplay perspective, like the like it's got that God of War camera that just like is, it automatically moves around you and like, but you're still on a 3D plane, but it kind of feels like you're on a 2D plane at the same time. And it's like really fast. Samus is super quick and super nimble. I just think that they could make a new game that played that way that could be really good. If they made the control better, obviously we'd be able to use an analog stick. If they made the story better or more streamlined, um, and if they had a little bit more of the backtracking element, man, it could be awesome. It could be really, really cool. So, but they would never call it. They would never call it Other M. They know that that name is too tarnished, so I think they would have to try to separate it at least by name, and it could be really, really cool. It's better for Travis to be in Smash because he breaks the fourth wall. That's true. It's definitely true. But oh, OJ, dude, what's up, man? Hey, OJ, thanks so much for popping in the stream for a sec, man. Appreciate it. Just a random early morning stream here. Suda really, really wants him in Smash, though. Yeah, it's got to happen. I think Travis is absolutely going to come to Smash. And now that we have 6 new fighters coming to Smash Brothers, you start to run down the list of the fighters that make sense. And like, I mean, there's more than 6 people that make sense, don't get me wrong. But Smash just has to be, or Smash, Travis just has to be coming to Smash. He just has to. Hype to see you streaming, man. Yeah, thanks, OJ. I figured out you probably might not have seen it because you use all the fancy OBS and all that stuff that I am really terrible at. But YouTube replaced Hangouts with this like little thing called webcam, and it's this like nicer, slightly fancier version of like what Hangouts was, and that's really easy because I just click a link and just kind of go. And so that's what I used a couple weeks ago, and that's what I'm using today. So it's pretty cool. I love having a reason to kind of stream, and I do want to stream a lot more this year. And before the end of time, I'm going to figure out OBS and figure out what I was doing wrong when I tried it last year. And I've said it so many times too, OJ. I need to hit you up because you've been awesome, and you've offered to help me figure out how to stream before, and I've just yet to really do it. But one day I'm gonna tap you for some help and have you kind of get me going on that stuff because I'm like the last person on the planet that doesn't understand how to stream and use streaming software. Like my brain it just doesn't click with my brain for some reason. I couldn't figure the freaking thing out. I didn't even know. For example, this is probably boring for a lot of people. For example, when I started playing with it, it was like I couldn't figure out what I was doing, and I had to look up the fact that you even needed a stream key. I didn't even know stream keys exist. So, thank God for YouTube tutorials, right? And so I was like, oh, I have a stream key, I guess. And I found that, and then I did that thing into OBS, but then it wouldn't connect to YouTube, and my thing wasn't showing up on YouTube for some reason. So I don't know. I don't know. Anytime, bro. Yeah, yeah. OJ, you're the pro when it comes to this stuff. So I appreciate that you're so down to help. That's really cool. Super, super cool. What non-Metroid surprise announcement would you like to see from Nintendo in 2020? Well, one of the big ones is Pikmin 4. I really want Pikmin 4 or a Star Fox game. And not like a Star Fox Zero port, I mean, I'd be okay with that, as I've said, but I would like a new Star Fox game. Batter says you skipped my question a second time. What's your question? Ask it one more time, man. Or maybe I can find it here. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. How do you think Metroid Trilogy on Switch controls would be? Traditional controls versus the Joy-Cons? For me, the original slash GameCube way is the way, but wondering if they might impose both. I appreciate that you like the GameCube controls. That makes me happy because, I mean, here's the thing. The Wii remote pointer controls were better to me. They just were better and they were more like immersive, but I was weaned. I was born in the fire of the GameCube controls, right? Because I played Metroid Primes 1 and 2 on the GameCube like, 10 times or something back in the day. So I know that I have the motor memory of the GameCube controls and holding the trigger to make her stand and look around and do that. And so I think it would be cool. I actually made a video about this exact question, believe it or not, probably like a year ago, like how the game would control. And I think it would be great if they gave us three options. One would be the classic GameCube style control, which I doubt they would do, but I would like to see them do that. Where you would use your your right thumbstick, the right analog stick would be how you would change your weapons if they did that, which is so weird and not at all how games control nowadays. But I would like to go back to that. They would probably use Joy-Con motion controls, or they would build in traditional FPS controls. And I know that maybe some people would hate that because they'd probably think of like, oh, you're just making Metroid like Call of Duty. But I feel like there would be something for like a new Metroid game that just use traditional dual analog stick controls. Like I love the motion control stuff, but I would like to try a Metroid Prime game using that just to see. And here's the thing, with Prime 4 specifically, the reason that could probably work though would be because they would probably build the game around dual analog controls. Just like Prime 1 was built around the weird ass GameCube controls that it used, so it worked because the game was built around it. I think that if they made a Prime 4 built around dual analog, like Halo controls or Call of Duty, I think it could probably work really well. I mean, Nintendo and Retro, like they're good developers. So if they make that choice, it's because they know how to make it really like fun for the game. So yeah, but I mean, I think about GameCube controls and it kind of makes me happy. Saw your post about Wii remasters on Twitter. I can see No More Heroes HD collection, but it'll come out after No More Heroes 3. Man, how cool would that be to do I just was thinking about, I don't know what made me think of that. I think I was thinking about Pikmin games the other day, and I was like, man, I just wish they would do a Pikmin trilogy. And then I was like, well, but I also want a Metroid trilogy, and I also want No More Heroes 1 and 2, and I also want all these Zelda games on the Nintendo Switch as like collections. And so I made that post. No More Heroes 1 and 2, I don't know, man. It could happen. It could absolutely happen on the Nintendo Switch. I haven't heard anything that it's going to happen, but it just makes sense. I could see Suda and Nintendo obviously have a really good relationship, which makes me so happy. It's why we have been so blessed with No More Heroes 3. So freaking excited for that. And I could see them bringing, because I mean, even if they did the bare minimum work, like it probably isn't going to cost anyone a whole lot of money to port those games to the Switch, and they know they would make their money back. So why don't they should just do it, you know? What was I saw a question I wanted to ask. I wanted to answer. Um, Seems like they are stuttering with the reveal. I'm not sure which reveal you're talking about. What are your biggest hopes for the PlayStation 5? I mean, as far as games go, I would love to see Bloodborne 2. I mean, if that, oh my god, if it launched with Bloodborne 2, forget about it. That would be so amazing. So that's the game that I want the most. I mean, we're already getting Last of Us 2, so that is checked off my list. And I'm very excited for Ghost of Tsushima. I feel like they haven't yet confirmed that that's PS4, or did they? Did they give a date? Maybe they gave a date for that, and I'm just brain farting it. But I could see that game releasing on PS5. I would like the PS5 to not be $500 or more. I mean, here's the thing: $500 is probably the max I would pay for one of the new consoles. So I would buy a PlayStation 5 at 500, but I don't want it to be that expensive. Um, I think it's going to be though. I think $500 is probably what both the Xbox and PlayStation will be. I think Pactor is crazy when he talks about $800. I just don't think that they're going to make a console that expensive. Um, so I would just like it to be not stupidly expensive. That's what I want from the PlayStation 5. Don't be more than a car payment. Well, depending on the kind of car, actually, even $300 is more than a car payment, depending on the car you have. Seems like okay. I already read that. Chances of an N64 app on the Switch. I mean, I don't think they're going to do an app on the Switch, but I still want to believe that one day we might actually see N64 games come to the um, Switch Online. I could see them doing that. But what I've long wanted is just for N64 games to just come to the Switch, even if they're not a part of the Switch Online. Obviously, okay, it would be better if they're part of the Switch Online because then we don't pay for the games. You just get it because you're already paying for the service. But if they didn't want to do that, I mean, if they just released a couple of random N64 games for like $10 here and there, I mean, yeah, I would probably buy Mario 64, I would buy Star Fox 64, I would buy, Ocarina and Majora's Mask. I'd actually like to play Killer Instinct Gold. That was a really good N64 game. Shadows of the Empire. So it would be cool if they did that. Like I wouldn't be offended. People would probably be upset now that I think about it. I think that a lot of fans and gamers would rally behind that. Um, Clockset says, "What's the sliding door behind me?" That's just a closet. There's just some boxes in there and some DVDs, some other microphones that I have. It's just a closet. There's no like dead bodies in there if that's what you're asking. Oh my god, I got a super chat. I so rarely get super chats. Nightmares, dude. Thank you so much for a $5 donation. That's so cool. He says, "Hey Rob, love your content. Just a question I would like to ask you: what Metroid game would you make if you were hired to make one? Gameplay slash story." Hmm. Well, the story I would want is the origin of the Chozo. And it obviously it couldn't be like a prequel. It couldn't take place during the origin because then Samus wouldn't be involved. But I would love the story I would make is Samus having to go and seek out the origin of the Chozo and really get to understand them and who they are. Because I think that's like the secret sauce to the lore of Metroid. To me, is the Chozo. And I thought that the whole way it was all put together in the first Metroid Prime game was just so fascinating, and how they built on the lore after that. So that's what I would like to see. Similar to how people talk about in Star Wars, if they're going to make a story about the first Jedi, which I would also love to see, even though I'm not the biggest fan of obviously Disney's storytelling of Star Wars right now. I still would like to see that movie and that story. So, that's a concept. And I think of the same thing applied to Metroid, like, who were the Chozo? I think that would be really cool. Gameplay wise, I'll go back to the other M thing. I think that if they made a third person Metroid game, not a 2D game, but like a 3D game that's third person, and where Samus was just as tough with her hands as she is with her arm cannon, so that she can melee attack. You can do like all of those suplex wrestling moves that she does in other M. Like if you can do those on command, or you're like a distance fighter. She's using her missiles and her arm cannon to fight. But when enemies get close to her and she gets surrounded, if you can also just kick ass, like there's not enough of that in Metroid. And you would think that she would be a badass with her hands. So I would like that to be a part of the gameplay as well. That's what I would do. Do you think Xbox Series X will struggle for its first few years because of there being no Series X exclusive games? Um, Man, that's a good question, and I think that the whole Series X exclusive games thing, I think that we need to understand that a little bit more because it's kind of a convoluted statement. I don't know if it means exactly what it sounds like on the surface. It might. I mean, maybe they're just saying that it's going to be a bunch of Xbox One games that you're playing on your Series X. But I also wonder if it means, third party developers are going to be releasing games for like the PlayStation 5 in that first year of the Xbox Series X's life as well. Like they're both going to exist for the first year together. And that PlayStation 5 is going to get next gen third party games. And so I would have to assume that the same will happen with the Series X. So I think that they mean they're not going not I think that they mean. One of the interpretations of that to me could be that first party Xbox Series X exclusive games won't be made. But games that are cross gen and games that are multi platform with PlayStation 5, I think might still be possible, even though I think Matt Booty was the guy's name, even though Matt Booty said that about Xbox Series X games at launch. So to me, it could mean exactly what it seems on the surface, but it might have also been just a convoluted statement that isn't what it sounds like, if that makes any sense. So I just don't know. But I think the Series X is going to do well, honestly. Baja Chick says, "Hey Rob, nice to see you. Thanks so much. I appreciate you stopping by." Collected says, "I kind of like not knowing fully about the Chozo. I love that mystique. Like finding out about the origins of the Reapers and Mass Effect kind of ruined the mystique, if you know what I mean." That's a good comparison. I liked that part of Mass Effect, but I think it's because Mass Effect was a new game when it was just the first game. All of that lore and all of those characters and the history of that universe was new to us, and so they didn't have an opportunity to keep the mystique going for a long time by stretching it out over the course of many games. And the same game that introduces the Reapers is the same game where they explain the Reapers, and I think the explanation of the Reapers was really freaking cool. So it didn't really bother me, but I see what you're saying, and it is a good comparison. And to that point, if they never explain the Chozo, I'm also fine with that. Like I don't necessarily need them to do it. I don't think it's missing from Metroid, but I still wonder about it. And so if I was just somehow going to write a Metroid story, that's something that I would want to make a story about. So but I'm totally fine if we never find out about it either. There's no right or wrong answer for me. It's like either we find out or we don't. Just keep making good games. That's the thing I want is good Metroid games. That's what matters most to me. Since esports has been on the rise for the last decade, why do you think Nintendo has such a complete disinterest in the competitive Smash scene? Do they though? Here's the thing. I'm not I don't follow esports. I don't follow Evo. I don't follow a lot of the competitive stuff, so I'm not the most knowledgeable on this. But I thought that Smash is fairly competitive. Isn't there I mean, I think Smash is at Evo, right? Tell me if I'm wrong, but I thought Smash was at Evo. And I think that there are a couple of like famous Smash Brothers fighters, like some gamers that are like that's what their career is, right? Is like being really good at Smash and like winning tournaments and stuff. So maybe I'm wrong. You guys can correct me. It's not my scene, but I thought that it was involved in esports and stuff. So you guys tell me if I'm wrong. Solus Curve says, if Microsoft were to buy a studio in Japan, who do you think it would be? Oh man, I mean, years ago there was the rumors about Sega, and actually, I don't necessarily want that to happen, but I think that it makes a lot of sense. I don't know, dude. I don't know who they would buy because most studios don't want to be purchased, right? That's the tricky thing. I mean, they managed to pick up like a Ninja Theory, and that's really crazy. But I think in general, it's not an easy thing to do unless it's a hostile takeover. So I have no idea. And I don't really want them to buy any more studios. They have enough. Let's call it good, Microsoft. I think they're going to have a great next generation because they bought those studios, but we don't need them owning everything. We don't want them to become the Disney of the gaming universe, right? Like that's the last thing anybody wants. And I don't hate Microsoft. I just don't want that to happen. Wave Race in 1080, I want. Yeah. Oh my God. I would love a new Wave Race and a 1080, actually. I love both of those franchises. It's tricky because I actually snowboard in real life, so I prefer snowboarding. But I will admit, I like the two 1080 games, but they're not great. But the two Wave Race games are awesome. So Wave Race, I think, has been a better video game franchise than 1080 personally. You make a good point as well. I guess I'm a sucker for a little unknown in games and stories. Yeah, me too, man. I mean, it's definitely a great idea to not explain the Chozo 100%. But I wouldn't be sad if they did it. Basically, I'd be like, bring it on. Tell me about the Chozo. What about having an evil Chozo as a villain? Yeah, I could see that. I think they could do something like that. People want Nintendo to put up money for prize pools, but they don't. That's what people mean. Oh, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. Is that normal? I have no idea how any of that works, you guys. So I don't know why Nintendo would have to put up prize pools. I don't know. Who is it? Game companies that fund prizes? Like, yeah, because people can win like $5 million at like Counter Strike or something. I don't know where that money's coming from. I assumed it was from advertisements and sponsors, but maybe the game companies are paying that out. I don't know. It's not my scene, like I said, so I just don't know. The most recent winner of Evo Japan got a pro controller for the first prize. Smash nets you no money for competing, essentially. A controller. That's so funny. So I guess that's the issue. People want Nintendo to pay people to win at Smash Brothers. I guess I can't really comment on it because if that's the norm of the fighting scene or of the esports scene, then I guess I can't really say that that's stupid. It sounds dumb to me, but if it's normal, then it isn't dumb, right? So I don't know. I guess it is what it is. So I obviously really don't have much of opinion. So Chris Earl, yo Rob, how you doing? How you doing, Chris? Valve does, Epic does, Blizzard does. Okay, yeah, it seems like that's the case. So that's how little I follow the esports scene. And so there you go. I did not know that. I mean, I don't even really watch. I don't watch people stream video games, you guys. I'm not really. That's that. I don't even do that, let alone follow the esports. So I am pretty unfamiliar with it. It's the Nintendo norm. No other fighting game does it. Been a long time watcher. You're awesome. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. I appreciate the long time watchers of my humble little YouTube channel. Do you think we'll get Prime 5 and 6? I mean, I kind of want to say no. I don't think that Nintendo needs to keep the Prime name going. You would think, all right, Rob, I have guinea pigs and children to put to bed in no particular order, and yes, different beds. Nice catching you live. This time works for us in the UK. Awesome, Clocked It. Yeah, buddy. Thanks for stopping in, man. Haven't talked to you in a long time, so I'm glad you stopped by. Enjoy putting the kids and pets to bed. So yeah, going back to the Prime thing. I mean, here's the thing. I never thought we would see Metroid Prime 4 because as I've said before, like the story really ends in Prime 3. The story of Primes 1, 2, and 3 is well told. It wraps itself up. It's got its bow put on it. It's good. And Prime, the enemy of Prime, who is also technically Dark Samus, is defeated. I mean, at least the game tells us that entity is defeated. And so making another Metroid game, if you're going to put Prime in the title, and if you're going to call it number 4, it means Metroid Prime has to be alive somehow. And so that's just a story that I never thought they would tell because I thought they ended it. So getting a Prime 4 was a surprise because it's like, what is this story going to be? But I wonder if maybe they can get away with this one time, one extra story in the Prime saga. We found a way. They're going to pull a Palpatine, to make a Star Wars comparison. And they're going to be like, oh, surprise, you thought he was dead, but he's not dead. And now he's back. So, oh my God, fight him and kill him again. And so maybe they're going to pull a Palpatine with Metroid Prime and bring back Metroid Prime, which would be great because we would probably get Dark Samus again. And I love Dark Samus. So that makes me excited. So I'm willing to accept one more surprise Metroid Prime story that we didn't expect. But beyond a 4th game, to make a Prime 5 and a Prime 6, I mean, I have to wait until I play Prime 4 to be fair, but my thinking about it right now, before we even see Metroid Prime 4, is that I think it would be forced to make it go for another 2 games after that. We have to remember they could feasibly make a game that takes place after Metroid Prime 4, but that isn't about Metroid Prime, and so it wouldn't be called Metroid Prime. Like they could do that. The same way Metroid Other M isn't called Super Metroid 2, it's called Other M. It's got a totally different name, even though that game actually is a direct sequel to Super Metroid. Whether you like it or dislike it, doesn't matter. So I feel like if they were going to make a game that's a sequel to Prime 4, they need to just call it, Metroid Revenge or, just make up some other name. Metroid Dread. I think Metroid Dread, I think that game and that name is going to come back at some point, for example. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think we need a Prime 4 and 5. A Prime 5 and 6. I think just a different Metroid game would be cool. Hi, Rob. What routes have you completed in Fire Emblem Three Houses so far? I've just played once through Golden Deer. I don't have the time to go through a game that lengthy more than once. My girlfriend is on her fourth playthrough right now. I got her so addicted, she has cranked through it. To be fair, she doesn't really play a whole lot of games. She doesn't game like I do, so she's completely content to just focus all of her game time on one game. So she's played it 4 times. I've just got the one Golden Deer playthrough, and I'm satisfied with that. Maybe in a few years I'll go back and play one of the other ones. My girlfriend loves the Black Eagles the most, so that's probably the next one that I would do because she's just raved about it. Um, Maybe Prime 4 is a prequel. I doubt it. I mean, maybe, but I doubt it. And you know what? Like, I'm not going to say I would hate that because I'm not in the business of hating a Metroid game before I play it, but I don't want Prime 4 to be a prequel. I'll just say that. I would keep my mind open, but I don't want it to be a prequel. Just make it a sequel. Just make it. I'm sick of prequels. Like, I don't know. I mean, you guys know I love the Star Wars prequels, so like I like the right prequels, but ever since the Star Wars prequels came out, the world went prequel crazy. And it's like I kind of miss just going forward in stories. I just miss what happens next. I don't care about what happened already. Like it was great to find out how Darth Vader became Darth Vader. It was amazing. It blew my mind and it was awesome. And it was worth the journey. But that's all for the most part all I need out of prequel stories. I like going forward. I miss going forward, which is why Metroid 5 is exciting to me because it would be going forward in the story for the first time in 18 years now. So, yeah. So I just hope that it's not a prequel. What I wouldn't give for just one screenshot of Metroid Prime 4, I need to see it. Yeah, Marky Mark. Man, I would also love just a screenshot. You make such a good point, man. How great would it be just to see that game? I also want to see, I really want to see what the old game looked like. I really hope in like 10 years, somehow it gets leaked what Metroid Prime 4 was like before it got scrapped. The version that, we think Bandai Namco was maybe making with Nintendo. Oh man, I would love to see what that game was and how it was turned. I want to know why Nintendo had to scrap it. What was happening with that version of Metroid Prime 4 that wasn't good? I just would love to see. I mean, obviously, I would just love to see what it looks like visually. I have an image of my head of what it looks like, and it looks like just a really pretty version of the first 3 games, which is all I need it to be. That's fine. But I would like to see just what it looked like visually and to see some gameplay and just kind of understand what they were doing with the controls and the combat and just how it turned out so bad that they didn't try to fix that game. They just threw it away, you guys. That's the craziest thing. They weren't like, man, this game is rough. We gotta fix this. We gotta fix this. We gotta fix this. They didn't want to fix a damn thing. They crumpled that crap up and they threw it in the trash. That is mind blowing when you think about it, guys. They threw the game away entirely. What was so bad about it that it was unfixable? I just can't even imagine what it was. I cannot put my imagination to work to figure out what would be that bad. I could picture a game that's rough and a picture a game that is struggling and needs to be fixed. I can picture that version of Metroid Prime 4. But a game so bad after 2 years of development that they just threw it in the incinerator. They burned it to a crisp. They threw it into the fiery chasm of Mount Doom. They just got that shit out of here. What happened to that game, you guys? Oh man, somebody in the industry, please, in 10 years, leak footage of that version of the game. I need to see what that game looked like, man. Metroid Amiibo Festival. that would do it. That would absolutely do it. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know, man. I hope maybe they were doing something stupid like that. Like, oh, we're gonna make it like Amiibo focused, like, I don't know. Niffle says, I'm sure Liam Robertson will have some behind the scenes details in a few years. You make a good point. I should ask him what he knows. We follow each other on Twitter, so I should be like, dude, what do you know about this game? I would never leak it. I would never like talk about it just for my own personal fanship. I'm just so curious, man. Oh, I want to know about that game, you guys. I want to know as well. Maybe they didn't have enough Psylocke. Yeah, maybe. I mean, Psylocke is probably going to be in that game, so John says, my 5-year-old son asked me last night as well I was tucking him to bed. Dad, who would win in a fight, Samus or the Hulk? I mean, the Hulk would win. I would think it's not even close, even though I like Samus more, obviously. That's a very good 5-year-old's question. Who would win in a fight, Samus or Hulk? But Hulk is like a cheat though, because he's made to be so strong, just like Superman is like a cheat, you know. I've missed a bunch of questions. CM Nation says, Rob, it's so sad that you don't play VR games. For PC VR, there is a game called Boneworks. It's so crazy from the mechanics. I would bet money that you would love it. I mean, I'm curious about VR. I would play VR. I just don't really. I don't care enough about it to go out of my way to spend money on it. I think, if the most quality VR that existed was like $99, I would buy it. And I'll say this, I'm just trying to be honest with you guys. I'm not trying to say anything like crappy here. I could easily afford one of the nicer VR. So it's not an issue of money. That I just want to say that. It's not that I can't afford an expensive VR. It's just not worth it to me. It's just I'm not going to pay two, three, four, $500 for a fancy VR, and even like you need a really dope PC to be able to run them properly. I do have a nice laptop, but I don't know, and so it's just not worth the money to me. But if like a $99 VR set existed that was like the super high quality and also wasn't a mess to put together, because from I've heard that, like, I don't know if this is true with like the PC versions of VR, but I know with like PlayStation VR, I mean, I've heard all the horror stories about just how messy it is. And there's like 1,000 cables, and I think it runs your PS4 really hot, stuff like that. And I'm like, I just don't want that in my life. I'm a gamer just like you guys. I've got the same cable problems in my life already between my PC and my capture card and all my game systems and my TV. I don't need to add to that. I'm also a musician, and you want to talk about cable problems in your life? Try being a professional musician who records, practices, and performs live. Forget about it. And I'm the drummer. Miking a drum set is like, it's the worst. And so I'm like, when I think about a VR set just being this cable nightmare, I'm just like, I don't even want to think about going through that not only just to set it up, but just to pull the thing out when I want to play it. It may sound lazy, but I just don't really want to put that evil in my life. I've got enough of that problem in my life. Cable management is just the worst thing. So personally, I'm not interested. However, I will say this. One day, I expect VR to get to a point where it'll be not a huge cable mess, and it'll be really high quality with great games, and probably not insanely expensive. And so one day I will probably buy a not super expensive and easy to use VR headset, because I do want to try it, but I just haven't. So anyway, that's my rant about VR. VR has got to go wireless for sure. I agree, Jono. I think I work events beat that. I don't know what that means. Um yeah, I agree. Like if VR was wireless and it could be good enough to play like, Half-Life Alex on max settings, I would probably pay $200 for that. I'd say that I would pay $199 for a VR set that could run a game as advanced as Half-Life in its close to optimal settings, and if it was wireless. Absolutely. I agree with you. I would buy that would be a 200 worthy of a $200 purchase just for me personally. VR is, yeah, I think VR will become more accessible. Where is it? Oh my god. When AAA games start rolling in, the first AAA title I've heard of being worked on for VR is Medal of Honor. Is there a Medal of Honor VR game? That'd be interesting. And then of course Metroid Prime. Yeah, people talk about Metroid Prime VR. And like, I don't know, Metroid Prime VR, that's a big conversation. And obviously it's potentially really exciting. How could I not be curious about a Metroid Prime VR? I don't know if Nintendo will ever do that, because you have to think Nintendo has to also buy into VR just to make that happen. Um, but yeah, you know what? Like if I could try a Metroid Prime in VR, that would be worth a pretty good amount of money. I would probably pay for that. I think I would pay a lot for that, but I don't need it in my life. Um, Someone made Metroid Prime VR compatible with a modified version of the Dolphin emulator, and it's amazing. Wow, that's pretty cool. How confident are you Bayonetta 3 is getting released this year? I'm pretty confident Bayonetta release in the summer. Yeah, I'm pretty damn confident Bayonetta 3 is going to release this year, you guys. I would borderline put money on it. I can't imagine that it's not going to. I mean, God, how could that game not be ready this year? It was announced in, was it not 2017 that it was announced? The Game Awards 2017? I'm pretty sure it was. So that's, we're in the third year here, 2020, since that game was announced. How can it not be ready in 2020? And especially because, you know, we all know that 2020 for Nintendo is still a pretty big mystery. Like, we don't really know what they're doing. There's a lot of games we don't know about. Bayonetta 3 makes so much sense to fill the year, Metroid Fusion or Metroid Zero Mission? Which one do I start first? Gonna finish them both. Well, they're both amazing. I personally prefer Zero Mission. It's actually my second favorite Metroid game of all time. So I would say, I guess, start with that one. But you can't go wrong. They're both so freaking good. Man, they're so good. I mean, there's VR for Smash Brothers. There's no chance. So there's a chance Nintendo will be on board with it. It's true. I mean, the Labo VR thing is like it's a cute little cheap attempt at doing some kind of VR stuff, but I hear it's not good for anything that they've made it for their regular games. I mean, it's obviously good for like the Labo software that they made for it, but I hear it's not good for like Smash or Zelda. So, Rob, what up, bud? Have you finished Dragon Ball Super yet? No, Eric, we have not. We are on, I think, so we're going through the Blu-ray sets because that's just how I like to watch Dragon Ball. And so we're on, I think the newest set they have released is 10, but we're only on 8. So we're at the part where the tournament, what's the name of that tournament? It's been a couple months since we watched. Oh gosh. The tournament that's like determining, like, like the winning tournament, the winning universe stays, and then they're gonna wipe out all of the other universes, and Goku is the one who got the whole thing going, and everyone's pissed off at Goku and all that. So that's where we're at. And it just started. The last episode we watched was the first episode where they finally jumped into battle. And like Goku, I think, had this plan. I think it was Goku had a plan. We're all going to stick together. And Vegeta was like, screw this, and he just took off and started fighting. And they got Frieza with them. It's batshit crazy. It's insane. The whole Frieza thing being on their team was so weird to me. It's so freaking weird to me that they're doing with Frieza, but it's interesting. So that's where I am. And here's actually okay. Here's the thing I'm going to say about Dragon Ball Super. For one, I love it. It's really good. My girlfriend and I are having so much fun with it. Nothing will ever compare to Dragon Ball Z. To me, that's the greatest anime I will ever watch in my life. I know it. It's that. But Dragon Ball Super is still a fine continuation. It's really fun. I'm glad that it exists. I don't even hate GT. I think GT's fine. It's not great, but it's fine. Dragon Ball Super is good. It's definitely better than GT. But it's funny. So I remember like probably a year ago, myself and OJ from Player Essence, I don't know, OJ, if you're still watching or not, you might be, and Avedon Smith got into a conversation about Goku and how Goku was like the worst. Like OJ was like, he's the worst because he just risks people's lives for his own selfish needs. And then Avedon and I were like, that's crazy. Goku's the best. Like, he's super noble. That's not really what he is. Like, he's just so great for all these different reasons, which I still agree with. But I will say this, at that time, I had not seen this story arc in Dragon Ball Super. And my assumption is that when OJ was saying that about Goku, I would imagine that this storyline had already happened. And it's like, you know what? There is some truth to that, actually, because Goku really put 12, is it 12 or 13? I can't remember how many universes. Goku put all of the universes on blast just to feed his ego to want to fight all the best fighters in existence. And it's like, yeah, okay. In this one instance, I agree that Goku did the wrong thing. Without question, it was the wrong thing. So I don't know. I was reminded of that conversation. Me and OJ and Avedon went back and forth about that, and I was defending Goku, and OJ was like, "No way! Like he's sacrificed everybody just because he wants to be the best fighter." And I didn't really see it at the time because I hadn't seen this arc in Dragon Ball Super. So it's kind of interesting, man. Hindsight is 2020, you know? It's very, very interesting. I am just about to hit an hour, so I think I'm probably gonna wrap up. Everyone sneeze on this bitch. um, only thing I can tell you that I already spent $2,000 for a headset, and I don't regret one penny of it. And it's taking off slowly now that devs of Boneworks made $3 million. Wow, I mean $2,000 on VR. That's impressive, man. That is impressive. Marky Mark said, "When are you going to be on the Spawncast again? Love it with my all my fave guys on it." Oh, probably sometime soon. Um, I don't know. I'm on every once in a while. I'm in, regular conversation with all those guys and with John and stuff. Um, like I said earlier, no, I don't want to say that. I can't say that. I'll just say keep an eye out for a video. When a certain announcement is made, a certain video will probably go up, and it'll be a video that I'm a part of and is really fun. That's all I'm going to say. And like I said, it's not on my channel. Um, when a Nintendo Direct drop, you know what? I mean, maybe right before or right after the Nintendo Direct, maybe I could talk to him about being on. Like I said, he asks me on every once in a while, and my schedule makes it so I can't always be on. It's when the Spawncast happens, it's Saturday nights, and it's 6 o'clock my time. So 6 o'clock my time is like I work until about 3:30 in the afternoon, and like 6 o'clock my time is a time where my girlfriend and I would be hanging out. I might be with friends. For a while, we were having band rehearsal at that time. We've actually moved it to Sunday now, but the occasional Saturday night will be band rehearsal. So it's just, it's also like food. It's like dinner time, meeting up for drinks with friends time. So it's just a rough time for them on the East Coast, or for people who are on the East Coast. That's 9 o'clock, and so that's maybe a little bit easier to be like, I'm home, I'm settled, I'm just hanging out, I can do a podcast. 6 o'clock is kind of different just for me and my life, because I'm kind of busy around that time. But when he asks me to be on, I try to come on. And there was one time where I asked him to come on for something. I don't remember what it was, but typically he just asks me, so, or invites me on. Hey Rob, did you see that Tool won the Grammy for Best Metal Performance for the song Tempest? I sure did. Yes, I saw that. I'm so glad. That's, yeah. The metal performance is really the only thing I care about on the Grammys anymore, because it's a lot of stuff that's not like really for me. A lot of pop stuff and a lot of just people who just sing. I'm a musician, so I really pay attention. I like musicians more than I like singers, or even like rappers. And I mean, I like music that is just a singer or just a rapper. Like I like some music like that, but I'm passionate about artists that are playing instruments. That's just most interesting to me, because I do it myself. And so the skill of learning an instrument and the skill of playing in a band, where you got a group of people that come together and you guys all harmoniously work together to create this sound that is a song. It sounds really silly. It sounds cheesy when I talk about it this way, but I just think that's most interesting. And then you don't get many bands and actual musicians on like a Grammys, or like in popular music nowadays was 20 years ago. It's just a lot of artists that are solo artists, regardless of their genre. Well, and then there's country, and country music is a lot of bands, and that is a very popular genre. So that's kind of the one exception. But like rock and metal and indie music and stuff, alternative music, it's just not the same, as it used to be 20 years ago. So, but that's just me and my tastes. So I was really happy to see Tool win. They deserved it. Their new album, Fear Inoculum, is freaking incredible, you guys. Oh my god. Uh Ne Obliviscaris? Is that There's another Obliva something band that I like and I can't remember. I don't know. Let me look up that band you're talking now. No, there's Ne Obliviscaris. All right, I'm putting them on my they're almost for sure Swedish or Norwegian, I'm thinking. But yeah, I've got them pulled up right here on my Spotify. I'm always looking for good new metal, and I'm not familiar with these guys. But if it's really good and if it's really technical, it is, and good, well produced, it's right up my alley. So I've got them. I just need to like play a song from them, and it'll like save them on my thing. Cool. Yeah. Thanks for that. What is your other job? Says Wyatt. That's not anything I want to make public. My job, my career. I have a really good job. I like my job. It's a pretty high up corporate position in a huge company that every one of you, at least in the States, would recognize. It's a huge company. We don't have the biggest worldwide presence, but we don't need to. So it's hard to explain what that means. But yeah, I don't want to. I don't really want to share that. That's for me to know. Um, I love remixes. I love to check them out. Recommend OC Remix, the One Ups, the Megas 8-bit band. Huh. Are those so that's I guess like video game music remixes? Try Oakley Dokley. Is that an artist? Do you mix drinks for the mafia? I don't, but that would be pretty cool. I'd probably make I mean, I'm very happy with the money I make now, but I bet I would make a lot more just mixing drinks for the mafia. Must be the CIA. No, it's not that cool. It is a job I work with a lot of secure information for sure. That's a huge part of what I do. So there is a level of security and clearance to what I do. So that part weirdly is true. Um so yeah, it's Flanders metal. What is Flanders metal? I'm worried Bayonetta is in development hell. I wouldn't worry about that because man, just Platinum is so good. I mean, I know they made, like a not great Turtles game and a not great Transformers game or whatever. I think actually the Transformers game is supposed to be pretty good. I never played it. But in general, like they're a pretty great developer. Pretty much every game they've made has been solid gold. And Bayonetta nowadays is their flagship franchise. At least the way I see it, it is. So how could Bayonetta 3 turn out bad? They're working with Nintendo just like with Bayonetta 2. How great did Bayonetta 2 turn out? Holy freaking cow. Um, and so yeah, I wouldn't worry about Bayonetta 3. It could be in development hell, but I just don't think so. I think that they've been waiting for the right time, and I think 2020 is the right time. Bayonetta 3 is going to happen this year, you guys. I'm telling you. I'm telling you it's going to happen. Family Jewels is awesome too. I don't know who that is. Concept game in Metroid universe following the story of a Federation trooper. It'd be a decent spin-off. Foreground Eclipse. They're Japanese, but I still love their stuff. I like some Japanese bands. Maximum the Hormone is like one of my favorite bands. Those guys are awesome. I actually like Baby Metal too, by the way. Baby Metal is great. It's really silly, but it's so good. Bayonetta 3 releasing in 2020. I think it is. Shin Megami Tensei 5 is in development hell, says Kieran. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that game. And that's not a series or a franchise that I'm like familiar with or close to. So I don't know what's going on with that. But I think that game will probably show up this year as well. Oh, metal remixes of Hyrule Castle and Gerudo Valley. Okay. If you want to hear a metal remix, you should listen to August Burns Red's Zelda theme that they did last year. Just look up August Burn Red Zelda and it'll blow your mind. It's freaking amazing. I saw them live like 2 years ago too. They're really good. Do you like Mars Volta? I do like Mars Volta. Might be live, but are you alive? I am alive. It's time for more Donkey Kong, says 13 Wolves. You know what? I agree. It is time for more Donkey Kong. Um, it's cool that they released Tropical Freeze on the Switch. I think that that's cool. I didn't buy it because I have it on the Wii U, so I don't need it on the Switch. But I would love to see a new Donkey Kong game. I'd love to see, I guess, a third Donkey Kong Country would be cool, but I'd like to see them try something new. And I don't know what that would be. Something like a spiritual successor to Donkey Kong 64 would probably be cool, or some different kind of 2D game. It's weird. You think of Donkey Kong, and it's hard to think of what genres you could put Donkey Kong in, and it doesn't seem like there's too many options. Like side scrolling just makes so much sense. And if it's a side scrolling game, does it just become Donkey Kong Country? Probably. So I don't know, but I would love to see Donkey Kong come back, and this could be the year. You know, anyone heard of an old YouTuber called Jam2995? I have a collection of all metal covers. I don't know. That sounds cool though. Flesh God Apocalypse, I know them. The Deceit is cool also. It's tough because I don't like super deathy stuff with a few exceptions. I like Black Dahlia Murder. I like All Shall Perish. I like Thy Art is Murder. I like those kinds of but not many, and like the Faceless. But a lot of really deathy focused stuff I'm not a huge fan of. It's got to be a particular kind of music for me to like it. I do like really heavy. I like very technical. So I'm more of like a Between the Buried and Me, Periphery, Meshuggah kind of guy. That's my speed of metal. And I like some classic bands. My favorite band of all time is Metallica. I love Megadeth. I love Pantera. Stuff like that as well. So those are some of my favorite bands of all time. Nintendo Land 2, that would be interesting. It wouldn't really get me super excited, not because I think it would be bad. I just kind of don't care. If Nintendo ported over Star Fox Zero without the tablet controls, would it sell? I think pretty much any Nintendo game will sell on the Switch, so I want to say yes. And if they end up making it even better, then it would sell even more for sure. If they made it really good, and it would be really tough because that game is built around the gamepad, you guys. But if they found a way to make it work, and if it got great reviews because it was so good, then it would actually probably kill it. Listen to Soilwork. Oh, I love Soilwork. I've seen Soilwork live. I'm a big fan of Soilwork. Their last couple of albums have been really good, man. They've just been quietly pumping out great music. System of a Down, Evanescence, Periphery, Lincoln. I like how we're talking like metal bands randomly. I feel like most people are sitting here looking for video game stuff. Donkey Kong Battle Royale, I don't know. I'd love to see Ubi take what they did for Starlink, Star Fox portion, and just make it a full Star Fox game. I agree. Starlink was a weird game for me, you guys. Please tell me you know ICDD. I don't know that acronym. I'm not sure who that is. You should tell me the full band name because that doesn't sound familiar. I can't tell what the ICDD is. But as far as Starlink, it was an interesting game because I like what they tried to do, and there are a lot of aspects of that game I do like. What I didn't like is how they tried to structure it around, yeah, you can fly anywhere and do whatever, and then also you can go on the ground and you can and it's just like playing in like a 3D third person game. You can platform and you can jump around and you can run around and you can solve puzzles, but you're in your ship the whole time, and they give you this little boost thing that acts like a jump, and they want you to jump platforms and stuff. And I'm like, it was a really good idea, and I know a lot of people really love that game, and I think that that's great. It's not a bad game by any stretch. It's actually a really good game, but it didn't work for me, and I just got bored with it. I put in maybe 10 hours of that game, and I was like, actually, this game is driving me crazy. So it while that game wasn't for me, I do think that Ubisoft could potentially have the fundamentals to make a really good Star Fox game. And I think that they did show that with Starlink, even though I have issues with it. So I would like to see them make it. Imperial Circus Death Decadence. No, I've not heard of them. I've listened to the Chariot. Yeah, they're okay. A new Rogue Squadron game for Switch. Yes, God, give us some Star Wars, man. Give us any Star Wars on any console, let alone something on the Switch. I'm excited for Lego Star Wars, you guys. I'm going to play that, even though it's Lego and so it's going to be kind of goofy. Like, I'm still excited for it. Rogue Squadron needs to come back, and one day it might. It definitely might. When is Rob Jr.'s and the Junettes factory going to come into full force? Man, I do not know. I have no answer to that one. Hey, dude, a Metroid and a Soilwork fan. You rule. Thanks. Yeah, I love both. Yeah, Soilwork is awesome. I really loved Figure Number 5 was the first album I heard from them, and it's still my favorite. Stabbing the Drama was really good. And then, God, their last two albums were really, really solid. Yeah, Force Unleashed is okay. I had higher expectations for those games, but they were fine. They were fine. Go listen to them, I beg you. I guess you mean ICDD. All right, I'm gonna take one more metal suggestion here. Imperial. Whoa. Imperious Circus Death Decadence. Oh, they are definitely Japanese. All their titles are Japanese. All right. Hopefully those two bands are good. I'm giving both of those a listen just for you because I'm always open for new metal. I don't think that Ubisoft has the wait. Where'd that come back here? Oh, I lost that question. Where was it? I don't think Ubisoft has that Nintendo magic to do a great Star Fox game. I don't know. I mean, would you say that they had the Nintendo magic with Mario and Rabbids? Because I do. I think they nailed it with that game. And I think they did a lot great with Starlink. So if Nintendo was like, "Hey Ubisoft, make a Star Fox game," I would think that they would work with closely with Ubisoft to make that game. And I think that it would probably turn out really good. So I see what you're saying, but I feel like I trust them. I would trust them because I would trust Nintendo to work with them. Is there an old Nintendo IP that you'd love to see return? Ooh. That's a good question, and I'm sure that there's an answer. An old Nintendo IP. Well, okay. So Eric says Eternal Darkness. And so I absolutely want Eternal Darkness to come back, but that's not a Nintendo IP. They don't own that IP, right? Well, I guess they own the trademark. So do they own the IP? Maybe they do. Now I don't even know the answer to that. Okay, if because they do own wasn't it Nintendo renewing the trademark? Does that mean they own it? I don't know. If they own Eternal Darkness, then actually, yeah, that would be my answer. But I kind of think that I think it's still technically third party. So I don't know. Man, and as far as something that we know is Nintendo, I mean, I want F-Zero to come back, obviously. I've been waiting for that for a long time. Um, do you think Matrix 4 is going to suck? Asks Miles. And no, I don't. And I say that because I like all of the Matrix movies. So I have a very open mind when it comes to Matrix. I think Reloaded and Revolutions are very good. They're not masterpieces like the first one was, but I think the whole story is amazing. I love the entire story of all three of those movies from beginning to end. And I love that Keanu Reeves is into it. And so I am very excited for Matrix 4. Very, very excited. So, and at least one of the Wachowskis is involved. So I have complete faith. I have complete faith. It's going to be awesome. I mean, Miles says that you're pretty sure they own Eternal Darkness. So I'd have to look into it. If they own Eternal Darkness, that's my answer. You know what I'd like to see, speaking of Star Fox, is I'd like another Star Fox Adventures, you guys. I like Star Fox Adventures. That game got so much crap back in the day, but man, it was so good. I still love that game. I still love it. Rob, have you ever played Jedi Alliance on the DS? I have to look that game up. I think I have that game, but I'm not sure if it's the one I'm thinking of. I think I isn't that a Game Boy game? Star Wars Jedi Alliance. No, it is DS. Let me see if it's the game that I think it is. Oh, it's Clone Wars Jedi Alliance. No. It looks cool though. I have not played it. Didn't this game also come out on the PSP? Maybe not. Anyway, no, I haven't played it. It looks good though. Star Fox Adventures 2 made by Monolith. Hell yeah, that would actually be awesome. Oh man, I would love for that to happen. Star Fox Adventures is underrated. I agree. Imagine Rare actually making Dinosaur Planet. That would be pretty funny. I would give it a shot. I would definitely give it a shot. Pikmin 4, Prime 4, maybe Nintendo just hates the number 4. Nah. I mean, at least they're making a Prime 4, and I think Pikmin 4 is going to get announced this year. So I'm depressed, says Lisu. Why are you depressed? Don't be depressed. Maybe the next 2D Zelda is coming soon. Maybe. Maybe. Do you like the music in Splatoon? Yeah, I love the music in Splatoon. I love it. I love it. Do I think we'll see any more Microsoft games on Switch? Probably. I think at least one more. I don't know. Everyone talks about Halo. And like, I don't know if I see that happening, you guys. That's a big ask. Cuphead and Ori and like, maybe they release a Banjo-Kazooie. That's such a different situation than their flagship franchise. I would be shocked if people talk about it like it's going to happen. And I mean, I don't know that it's not going to happen, but it doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense. Xenoblade Chronicles X is really good, you guys. That game is underrated. It is very, very good. Very good. So I don't know. I mean, they're doing the definitive edition of Xenoblade Chronicles. What are they going to do after that? I don't know. I kind of would like to see them do a different game, either a different franchise or maybe like a new IP, because at some point Xenoblade was a new IP when the first one came out. I know it's like kind of Xenosaga, but kind of not. I guess I don't really know the connection there, but it was new, and so I'd like to see them also do something brand new. You know, do you think No More Heroes 3 will be heavy on gyro controls? I sure do. I do. Oh, excuse me, guys. I'm yawning at noon. Yeah, I do think that No More Heroes 3 is going to use gyro controls, but I think they'll also make it so you don't need gyro controls. Because even Travis Strikes Again had the same thing. You could use gyro controls or you could use like analog stick controls for some of the motion stuff in that game. So I think that No More Heroes 3 is going to do the same. You want Prime 4 to have multiplayer like Federation versus Pirates? Asks PK Gav. You know what? I kind of do. And for a long time, I wasn't sure how I felt about it. And I actually mean to make a video about this, so I don't want to say too much and spoil the conversation for the video. But I've absolutely warmed up to the idea of, you're welcome for answers. I've absolutely warmed up to the idea of multiplayer in Metroid Prime 4 because I think Nintendo is going to do it. And I think that it's a smart way to keep that game alive longer. And I think that they can really do well with it as long as, the obvious thing we want is for a multiplayer to not distract from the campaign. So as long as they put 100% effort into the campaign, they don't compromise anything about the single player for the sake of making multiplayer, and the campaign is exactly the masterpiece it needs to be. And then there's also a cool multiplayer. There's no reason for me to not want that. So I do hope that it happens. And my goodness, I got another super chat from Jan Weber. That is so amazing, dude. Thank you so much. I don't get super chats and donations very often, so it means a lot when you guys do that. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. No question. Just sent a cool emoji of what looks like a potato flying through the sky. But that is amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am humbled. I want a horde mode with Metroid creatures and space pirates. That would be cool. You know, some people talk about Federation Force type of multiplayer. I think that would be cool, like a co-op. I think I would very much welcome that. What are my thoughts on the Super Nintendo World theme park trailer? It was okay. It was just a music video with a bunch of CG stuff. I actually was, I mean, I don't dislike it, but I was just kind of disappointed because it's like, well, they have nothing to show. They didn't show us anything. I mean, it had this, really catchy like pops techno song, and it's like that's fine, I guess. And it's cool to, and it's like the whimsy nature of it was interesting for sure. It's very Nintendo, so I thought that part was fun, but it didn't show us anything. So I'm like, meh. Killer Instinct, Alan Wake, Gears, or Halo. Which Microsoft game would you like to see next on the Switch? Well, if I'm going to pick one of those, it's Alan Wake because I love Alan Wake and I'd like to see it come back. And I think that one could make sense on the Switch. So. Do you think a Red Steel 3 will ever be put into production? It feels like they dropped the series. Dude, I would love Red Steel 3. I think it's only barely possible. I would say 10% chance we see Red Steel 3. So not impossible, but also probably never going to happen. Red Steel 2 was so freaking good. God, Red Steel 2 was so good. I would love it if they did another one. Get out of here. I think they have a big opportunity with Metroid Prime 4 multiplayer. There really isn't any Nintendo first person shooter on the Switch. Nintendo needs their own Halo rather than getting actual Halo. I kind of like that. But I don't necessarily know that I need Metroid Prime 4 to fill that role, though. Like I said, I wouldn't be upset about it, but I don't know if they need it to be a Metroid. Why can't they just make something new, or bring the freaking Conduit back? I mean, Red Steel and the Conduit. That's what I want. Red Steel 3, Conduit 3. That's what I really want. Super Metroid remake, the Samus Returns engine would be awesome. I agree, Eric. I really would like to see that happen. I know a lot of people want next 3D Sonic. I'm sure we will get both because Mania was so huge. Yeah, I like Sonic. I'd like to see Sonic come back. I'm a big Sonic fan. We're at an hour 25. So I think at this point, I'm going to call it good, you guys, because I'm actually really hungry. Like I said, it's noon where I am. It's 12:09. So I need food in my belly. But this was fun. I'm glad I had a reason to just kind of like randomly just pop on for like a midday live stream. I don't really get to do these very often. So this has been fun. Had some people that I know pop in. OJ popped in. Clocked It popped in, which was really cool. I appreciate you guys showing up. And that being said, yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. And I'll probably make this live a little bit later. Yeah, so I'll see you guys on a next regular video. Bye bye.